This is Bergstrom's State Line Quiz Bowl. Now from the Collins Aerospace Studio at the Nordloff Center in downtown Rockford, here's your host, Eric Wilson.
Welcome to another edition of the Bergstrom State Line Quiz Bowl here, center stage at the Nordloff Center, downtown Rockford, thanks to our friends at the Rockford Public Library and Collins Aerospace. Last week, you watched a great game. It was really close until that final challenge when Hononegah pulled away. We're getting close to Christmas, and maybe one of these two teams here would like the gift of moving on to round two, right, teams? It's hard to tell if they're smiling because of the masks, but believe me, they're all smiling. Although you have to earn that gift this time around. Let's have a nice round of applause for the Galena Pirates. And their trademark "arr" before every game. Pirates are making their 6th appearance in the bowl. They've actually made it to the Elite Eight 3 times. 2 years ago, 1 game away from making it to the finale. And that still stings, right, Daniel? I can see you nodding your head there. Maybe today will be different. Welcome, Galena. Daniel, introduce us to the rest of your starting lineup.
Okay, I'm Daniel. To my right is Ella. To my far left is Jovian. And to my near left, is Thomas.
Welcome, Galena Pirates. Over here on the other side, we have Rockford Lutherans Crusaders. How about a nice round of applause for them? Lutheran's been part of Quiz Bowls since the beginning. Haven't made it out of the first round since season 4, but Julie and the team hope to change that this time. Julie, introduce us to your team.
I'm Julie. To my left is Bella. To my far right is George. And to my near right is Kaylee.
All right, we've got the hardest part of the game out of the way, introducing everybody. Now we move on to the questions. Maybe easier for you than they are for me to read. Our first round, the Superior Joining Technologies Buzz-In round, is a buzz-in. So when you buzz in, you're on your own. 2 most important rules. What are they? Wait for me to call your name and make sure you give your answer loud and clear into the microphone, especially because of the masks. Hands on your buzzers for our first question this week. What man wrote the 2016 book Born a Crime, which describes his youth in apartheid South Africa? George.
Trevor Noah.
That is correct. You didn't even need the most obvious clue. Succeeded Jon Stewart as host of The Daily Show. And Lutherans first on the board with 10 points. What southern state, which was the last to ratify the 13th Amendment, passed a law in 2020 removing the Confederate flag from its state flag? Kaylee.
Missouri.
Incorrect. Galena. Daniel.
Alabama.
Incorrect. You had the miss right. It's Mississippi. That 13th Amendment actually was the one that outlawed slavery. No points for either team. Let's get a new question in here. What present-day country's archaeological sites include the Buddhist Ajanta Caves in Maharashtra and the Ellora Caves with Jain and Hindu influence? George.
Sri Lanka.
Incorrect. Galena. Daniel.
India.
That's right. Maybe the Hindu helped with that. It was a good clue. And Galena is now on the board. You've got 10. Which English king who signed the Treaty of Perpetual Peace with Scotland beat Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth to establish the Tudor dynasty? George.
King Henry.
Can you be more specific?
King Henry I.
Incorrect. Galena. Daniel.
Henry VIII.
Incorrect. Close. Both got the Henrys right. It was Henry VII. You actually learn all about him on the Netflix show, The Tudors. What biomolecules whose complex type consists of polymers are named after their chemical composition, which resembles a multiple of CH2O? Kaylee.
Carbohydrates.
That is correct. Sugars, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is the more specific answer, and you've got 10 more points, Lutheran. What team, which in 2019 signed running back Latavius Murray to play along with Alvin Kamara, is led by quarterback Drew Brees and plays in Kaylee?
New Orleans Saints.
That is correct. You didn't even need the most obvious clue. Plays in Louisiana, and you've got 10 more. Shelby County versus Holder partly held unconstitutional what 1965 law, which was intended to help African Americans secure suffrage? Daniel.
The Voting Rights Act.
That is correct. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, but we'll take that Voting Rights Act, and that's worth 10 points to you. What state once saw 230-mile-per-hour wind gusts atop Mount Washington within its White Mountains, formerly the site of the Old Man of the Mountain? Daniel.
New Hampshire.
That is right. You got those 10 points. They're the last 10 of the round, and they are enough to make it a tie game. we're back to where we started. It's like we forget this round ever even happened because it's even, 30-30. We'll take a break and come back with way more questions. In fact, our volleyball round is right after this break. We hope you'll stay with us.